information technology at a college somewhere, and he talked about technology. At the time, I was going to go into something else. My interest was elsewhere. It was not in tech at all. And then he asked us, who here wants to go into tech after we finished? And no one put their hand up. We were not, it was just not the thing at the time. But I was very curious, and then I decided to explore it, and it looked like something I could enjoy. And then I finished, and then I went to college and I did tech. 20 plus years later, here I am.
Yes. Okay, each and every one of you here did start from cloud computing. So what motivated you to transition into cloud, and how did you navigate that shift? Let's start from Lisa.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. Cloud, so it was in 2017, I think. I was a solutions architect working for a bank back in South Africa. And I just moved into the solution. Every other solution architect in the team was very experienced. So you can imagine I was feeling very insecure because I was not an experienced solution architect. And then the bank just signed a deal or a contract with Amazon to now adopt cloud as a strategy, and they were going to go with AWS as the cloud of choice. And then the architects tend to be, you are at the forefront of any technology strategy where you work. So the chief architect called all the solution architects and he said, from now on, anything you design has to be with cloud in mind, cloud first, and it is the AWS cloud. I saw that as an opportunity for me to, because this, coming from being so insecure of being a solution architect, because all the other solution architects were experienced, I thought, okay, this is something that where all of us are going to be new. That's why I learned it, and there were resources at the time that were helping us to learn it very fast. There was certification support. There was a lot of support. AWS, like you saw, all the solution architects that are here today, they were sending a lot of them to us to help us learn, and I just started it that way. And the cloud engineering opportunity to actually be a cloud engineer did not happen at that same bank. It's a very big, EPSA is here, right? You know EPSA. Very big. So although you're learning cloud, you're still competing with everyone that is internal. So the opportunity didn't happen there. Where did the opportunity happen? I always talk about putting yourself out there. I used to post on LinkedIn that I'm certified, that I'm doing this, that I've learned this on AWS. And there was another bank, Standard Bank, also here, right? They were starting their cloud strategy, and they were looking for cloud engineers. So they went onto LinkedIn and see who's talking about AWS. And HR called me, and I went for the interview. So I always talk about put yourself out there. Anything you learn, if you get a certification, don't just say, I'm certified solution architect. Tell us on LinkedIn when you post, what are you learning now? What did you learn when you were preparing for this certification? And what can you do now that you've got this certification? Things like that set you apart from everybody else, and you never know where it's going to lead.
So for me, immediately after campus, I got a job in Airtel as a NOC engineer. Anyone who has worked in NOC knows how much pressure you go through. You have to work 24/7. It's a 24/7 department. So sometimes you have night shifts, other times you're working very early in the morning and such, and there's a lot of pressure in that job. If guys in Meru are not able to make calls or receive calls, then it comes down to you. You have to sort it quickly, what's the problem and what not. So that's why I started. And then afterwards, I didn't like that environment. There was a lot of pressure. I didn't like it. So I was looking around LinkedIn, seeing what else I can do, whether it's networking or even security. And there was a program I saw. I don't remember who had it, but they were sponsoring AWS CCP for people who signed up for it. So I just happened to see it on LinkedIn, just looking through LinkedIn pages, and I signed up for it, and I was able to do that CCP cert, and I found it very interesting. So I was like, this is cloud, this is what it does. You do the labs, and you like what you're saying, and you find that you're enjoying. You know those things that come very easy to you. You're just flowing. You don't have to put a lot of effort to do such. So I did that CCP and liked it, and then I was like, maybe I should move from Airtel and look for a cloud job. So I started hunting for jobs on LinkedIn for cloud, and I didn't get So the job that I got was a networking role. I don't have any networking background, but they were doing a graduate training. So I'm like, let me just apply. It's closer. You see, networking is closer to cloud than telecommunication is, yeah? I think so. So I decided, let me just, the way the proverb says, you just need to put your foot on the door, the rest will come. So yeah, I decided to just apply for that, and I got the job where I work right now. And then later on, a year later, I had a friend there who was doing cloud, and he happened to go to AWS. There's a position that opened up, and I applied, and I got it. So it's a series of putting yourself out there, as she has said. You identify exactly what you want, and then you start looking for ways to get in there. So that's how I got where I am right now. Yeah.
So for me, my journey, I'm going to relate it with a role model and a mentor. So, like I said, earlier on, I didn't really have any idea of what technology was until when I was in, say, Form 4. And when I joined campus, I did study computer science. And like beginning of my campus journey, I did have a mentor. And that mentor, she really aided me like in a way that defined my journey so far. And to give an example is, when you have someone you look up to, like they did the same course as you, whenever you have a challenge, you're like, okay, so how did you approach this and that? So when I was in campus, like close to, I was actually in my final semester, she shared with me a post about AWS Restart. So that is how I joined cloud computing. And that is how actually I've formed like a network from, like have expanded my network through AWS computing. And just a shout out, actually today is a full cycle moment for me because I'm here with my Marion. Yeah, we were in the same cohort, like we did the cloud computing journey together. CP is here as well. So it's really amazing how I see how mentors have really shaped my journey so far. At the same time, how the network has really impacted me. Like, the way they normally say your network defines your net worth, right? So whoever you surround yourself with really defines how you're going to progress in your career. So in a way, it's a nudge to everyone out here. Do you have a network that can really direct your path? Do you have a network that you can reach out and be like, I'm stuck with this, what can I do about this, And you should be having like a varied network so that you bring in a diverse perspective. Someone says you should have a diverse board. Like whenever you're facing a different issues, say a networking issue, like in my network I know so and so. If I ask them how they approach this, I would sure I get an answer. So yeah, my introduction to cloud came from AWS Restart. So I'm a proud alumni of AWS Restart.
Thank you, Dee, for sharing that. My journey started in fiber optics. So, I used to work as a fiber planner, and that's actually quite a manual job. I don't know if you've seen the fiber engineers who pull cable just to bring internet into your homes. That's what I used to do. So it got to a point, at first it was quite interesting for me because I didn't see many women in that space, first of all. And then two, it was new. I was like, okay, this is an area I've never explored before. I'm really keen to see what it has for me. But it got to a point, I think, for me, it's the environment I was working in that kind of just influenced my move. I was like, no, it wasn't quite a supportive environment in terms of career growth. And even when you brought new or fresh ideas into the company, they weren't appreciated as much. So I got, like Dee mentioned, I had a mentor or someone I really look up to. And we were working in the same department, but he used to code on the side. He used to attend events by Google. And I was just like, okay, what is this? Can you please introduce me? And he got to introduce me to Google Cloud. So I started with GCP. I did the foundational cert for GCP. But I realized there was no much community or support for me in that area, or I hadn't aggressively gone out to identify people in that space. So it was quite hard for me to maneuver, and also being a new space. So it came to a point, friends with most, if not everyone, in the AWS community, and it always made it easier for me to just reach out and ask, okay, I'm trying to do this, am I in the right path? How can you help? Do you have any opportunities around that I can apply for? And to be honest, that's how I got my current job at Silicon Valley. It was through a network within the community. So yeah, let's take advantage of the community right now.
Okay. So I think G and Marion have spoken about mentors. So our next question is, did you have a mentor if you had, or a colleague, or even a community who stood out in shaping your journey? And what's one lesson from them that you still carry up to today? Yeah.
So I've always had mentors, and I talk a lot about getting mentors from all walks of life. When people are looking for mentors, they always look for people who maybe are from the same background as them, or look like them. And I always say you want to get as much different perspectives as possible. So I have mentors from all different walks of life. I think one stands out when I talk about lessons. One stands out. When I was looking to move from being a business analyst to solution architect, that was happening at the same company. I was looking to make that move there. And the chief architect, because business analyst, it doesn't know you as being technical, so why would it take you into the solution architect team? And I used to ask him, and he would say no. And I would have a meeting with my mentor. I'd be crying that, oh, this guy doesn't want to hire me into the team. And he would always tell me to go back, ask him, why? What can I do so that I can prepare myself for this role? So he taught me about not giving up. Sometimes it's very easy for us to just walk away from things and not give ourselves a chance, and also not giving that guy, the chief architect, a chance, because I could have asked him, what can I do so that I can qualify? And once I learned that from him, it's another lesson that we always get taught at AWS about collecting as much data as possible to support anything, whether it's something that you want to communicate or something you're looking to learn from someone else. So he taught me about collecting as much data points. That's how you build your story if you want to talk to anyone. And eventually I did go to him and I say, what can I do so that I can qualify to join the team? And he told me what I can do to join the team. And he assigned me another technical mentor to work with me for that year. And that's how I moved in. So I would say the lesson is to not give up so quickly sometimes, because things can look so hopeless and you think it's never going to happen, and you walk away. You walk away just before it's about to work out. So don't give up that easily.
For me, I've had mentors at every stage, I would say. So in campus, I had my uncle, the one who influenced me to take the engineering course here. So throughout campus, he used to tell me to not just go to class and study. I look for other things to do, which is what I did when it came to certifications. In my fourth year, I did some networking certifications from Huawei, a time when they were still picking up. So I think that definitely helped me get my first job after campus, because I hadn't even graduated by the time I was getting that job. In my graduation, I had to get leave from my boss to go to graduate. So I think my uncle did definitely keep me on my toes, always telling me to find other things besides what you're doing in class and look at what is happening in the world, even still while in campus. Look at what is happening, and then you position yourself, because campus ends and then you're going to go in the real world. And then most of the time you'll find yourself, you're just fresh out of school, it's just a degree. You didn't even participate in these campus events that happens. So he definitely did keep me in my toes. And then at work, I would say currently, my boss is my mentor. because he normally pushes us to go out there. The biggest lesson with him is that consistency will beat any talent at any given point. So he normally tells us that in whatever we are doing, we try to do it better than the next person. Better because for us, we sometimes do pre-sales work. And with pre-sales comes competition. Competition, someone has to win, right? So you have to play to win. And how do you play to win? You're being consistent in whatever you're doing. So if it's this, we're in cloud, so there's a lot of Gen AI going on. So for us, there's a lot of POCs that we are doing. That is being consistent. We see a new solution that AWS has brought out. We go out of our way to do a POC. And you see, with that doing POC constantly or just tests will put you out there as compared to any other person. So there's that consistency that is happening. And also I've applied that in my personal life, in my personal journey besides work. And yeah, at work, someone who, when you show interest in something, very high chances you might get someone who is willing to work with you through that, to work with me. Say if it's in pre-sales, there's someone who is teaching me about how to close deals with clients and whatnot. I have such people in my work, and I'm really grateful for them so far. Yeah.
But I've had a couple of them as well, like in different phases. And one thing I want to say about mentorship is whenever someone is really giving their time to mentor you, you should be willing, just like she said, like what are you bringing to the table? You know, like someone is spending time to help you get better, but you know where you're going, you know. So it doesn't have to come from the mentor that this is what we want to achieve. It should be from you. And then you start from what do I want to do, where do I want to get, and then you work backwards from there. So it's more like this is what I want to achieve, but then how can I get there? And you remember how Felisa mentioned that you don't say, I just got a solutions architect associate. So what? What can you show about it, right? So one lesson that has stood with me all this while is whatever you are able to do, are you able to demonstrate it to someone, you know? So sometimes someone is so technically skilled, but they can't talk about what they are doing, you know? So it's something like, you're so good at what you're doing, yes, but no one knows. So for me, I feel like communication is a key bit as well. If you can't talk about what you can do, no one would know. Gone are the days that we say like, let my work speak for itself, right? So it's more like, what can you do? Can you demonstrate? Can you convince someone to buy into the idea? So that is one thing that has stood with me. And then another bit of it as well is start small, but start now. And I'm actually going to quote someone. It says, Pasos Koto Visalaga. So it means like small steps, long vision. So yeah, we have a very long vision, but how are you making steps to the vision, right? Yeah, so that's what I can say about mentorship. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. I think we do share. I do share the same concept. I would say I had multiple mentors throughout my journey. So through career transition, definitely I was moving from something I know to something I totally do not know. Yeah. So I had to look for individuals who are already in the industry. I have a friend who already used to work within AWS, and she held my hand and she would advise me, okay, I would go to her, of course, with what I've done or what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to study for this particular certification. What tips do you have? What resources can you guide me to? And also, it's just someone who holds you accountable throughout your journey. How far have you come? You know, what else are you working on? What strides are you making in whatever you're working on? So yes, I do have mentors. I used to have mentors, and I think it's a good thing to, and the earlier you can get the mentor, the better, because I think through campus, honestly, I was just like vibing. It's until I finished school, I was like, whoa, damn, there's a lot to do. Tech space is quite wide. You need someone to at least handhold you and guide you, and yeah, it's important. Thank you.
Thank you. To the next question. You all have worked in high-stake environment from banking, cloud, transformation, telecommunication. So what are some of the unique challenges that you faced as women in the tech field, and how did you overcome them? I'm giving it to someone who wants to start now.
Okay, so for me, um, I started off as an IoT engineer, fresh off campus. I'd never done IoT before. And it was a scary space, but yeah, just like someone mentioned before, Lisa actually mentioned it about the Q developer challenge going, like who can raise their hands to do this. So for this one, as much as I didn't really have any experience, I was fresh off campus. Actually, I had not graduated at that point in time, but I did apply to the job and I got it. So when I got there, for some reason, I feel like in some workspaces, some roles or some tasks are passed by you because there's a feeling that women can't handle this particular thing. So for some reason, I feel like some tasks were not given to me at that point in time because they felt like she's just a girl. I'm just a baby girl. So it's a unique challenge in a way. But what I did on that regard is whenever there are tasks given, you just show up and be like, yeah, I can do this. And whenever you get that chance to do it to your level best. Like prove that you really can do it. It's more like don't fumble it so that the next time they'll have a reason to say, we gave her that role last time, but they didn't really do so well. So that is how I overcame that bit of challenge. Yeah. And at some point in time as well, I did have a difficult manager. It was a rough journey in a way, and the way I really tackled this, because it was a difficult space to work in, it's more like showing up and trying your level best so that you can show up to your best whenever you have the opportunity. Yeah. Thank you. Who'd want to go next? Yeah. I'm taking your
No worries. I think the unique challenge for me was at first career progression. So I've been a solutions architect for just 1 year now. I can't say much to this. So far, my experience is excellent. But in the telecom industry, career progression was quite a hurdle for me. I really tried to maneuver and even change departments, but I was always met with constant blockers, and I kind of attribute it to the fact that I'm a woman, and that's why I wasn't getting those roles. Because I feel like there's times I've interviewed and gotten to the highest of levels, and you're just like the two of you, let's say a lady and another, let's say a man, and there's high likelihood that role will be given to the man. And I've also experienced challenges where, like she mentioned, the complex projects or the projects that involved more money were actually being assigned to a guy and not myself. I got a chance to work in a team of 4, and again, I was the only lady within that team, but I could, most of the time, roles were assigned to these guys, and I was told, you're gonna assist. So those were kind of like the unique challenges I met through my journey. But then again, I don't think they stopped me for any, or out of it, honestly, it just pushed me to even do harder and explore other options that I had. It made me put more effort and energy into like the transitioning into now cloud, where I felt like I was seeing ladies who are prospering in that space. Yeah, so I was like, okay, this will be a push for me to transition into something else. Yeah.
I remember 2 stories that they're not so unique because I feel like everyone might have experienced it at a certain point if you're a woman. So I had a boss at a certain point where I had joined the organization with a certain gent. So we were the 2 of us, me and him. And when the team lead now was handing over tasks, he came over to me and said, I can't give you this because I don't want you to get stressed. This work is so stressful. You're a girl. I just want you to stay in the office and just read or to do something else. But I've decided to go with this guy so that it doesn't stress you as much. So I was like, okay, you probably have a point. Then I just let it slide. The second time it happened, um, it got my antennas up. Because in my mind, I'm like, how do you know I can't even handle it in the first place? We even told you I'm willing to stay in the office. And you see the work they're going to do is the work that actually matters, is the work that's going to put your name out there with your colleagues. So by you overlooking me in the name of a girl, by a conclusion that you yourself, you're the one who came up with it. I didn't tell you that. So that was a unique, not so unique challenge for me. And it did tamper with the way I sort of viewed myself, because for a minute I thought maybe I'm not working as hard as this other gent, or maybe there's something I must be doing wrong for him to just go to this other gent instead of me. So what I did about that is there's normally a chain in organization. So there's the immediate team lead, and then there's the other one, because it didn't continue giving me. For some reason, he still thought, you're just a girl, just stay in the office. So the next line manager, I just reached out to him and was like, I want to be more involved in these projects. When a new project comes in, am I able to get it? Can I get it? Because I also want to get experience. And he was gracious enough to give me that. So there are two sides of that. There are those guys who see you and just see a girl or just a woman or a lady who needs probably some more training before they're just thrown into the deep end. And there's someone who will just take a chance on you, which is all you might need, really, because sometimes those hard jobs, they push you out there really quickly. So it's easier for you to rise by doing the hard jobs compared with the easy jobs. And also, I think this has happened in all my workplaces to some extent. There's that subtle feeling of having to work twice as hard as the rest of the guys. Because you see, it doesn't apply to every boss or every man, but sometimes you normally feel like if you're even interacting with clients, they'll ask you more questions, they'll ask for more clarification from you compared to your male counterparts. Could be a subtle reflection of, you're a girl, are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you can handle Kubernetes like this? I would rather talk to. So they'll end up asking you a lot more questions or seeking a lot more clarifications than they would from your male counterpart. Sometimes it's very hard to point it out. Other times you could be overthinking, but sometimes it's that subtle feeling you get, like this is what is happening. But with all that, you just have to keep showing up for yourself. You just have to keep blowing your own horn. Sometimes there's nothing as humble bragging. Go tell your boss this is what you've done. Tell him or her this is what you want to do. Chances are they still give you a chance, but you have to speak up. You just can't let someone tell you you're not who you think you're not. So it's just a matter of speaking it up and asking for more, in as much as you're not supposed to ask for more because you went there for work. There's a reason you got there. You didn't get there by chance. So the fact that you already are there means you're qualified already. So you don't have to do all that, but sometimes that's just the reality. So you have to go out of your way to ask for what you want or make your demands, quote unquote, known for you to get to where you want to be. Yeah.
Okay, I think for me, it's going to be a different story because my country, they incentivize them for hiring women before they hire anyone else, especially black women. South Africa law, the affirmative action, it looks better for an organization if they hire a black woman because we like before they hire anyone else. So I don't have those stories of not being hired because I'm a black woman. The story that I have, I think a lot of the blockers that I saw along my way were actually self-inflicted. We tend to listen to external messaging a lot, and then we internalize it. Just because someone doesn't think you're good enough doesn't mean you're not good enough. And I think for a very long time, because we get that messaging anyway. It's not just men, it's not just white people, it's your grandmother, it's everyone who's around you. And if you're gonna take that and internalize that, that can be what is your roadblock along the way. And I think I used to internalize a lot of external messaging, and the day I actually switched on to say, always question the voice that I hear that says I'm not good enough, because it's in my head. It's not someone else saying it to me. It's in my head. And then I question that and I challenge that, and then I go against that. What has also helped me with that is I collect a body of work. It goes back to what I was saying, post about the things you said, but post positively. Don't just say, I did this. Tell us, give us context. And I keep saying this because a lot of us don't do it, and it doesn't get us anyway. I collect a body of work of my achievements. If you go onto my LinkedIn, you'll see my featured page. I've clipped a few posts there, and these would be the highlights of the things I've done. So whenever I start to doubt myself, I look at the body of work. So you could collect this body of work. You could have a folder where you save things. At Amazon, they tell you to create a kudos folder. So every time someone sends you something, a compliment about something you've done, you save it there. So every time you start to feel like you're not good enough, you go and you read that. And for me, that works. I agree on the tooting your own horn. I'm very big on that. And but you can do it in a way that's humble. You don't have to be arrogant and bashful and annoying as you do that. But just repeating the things that you do. Again, if you see my post on LinkedIn, you'll say, I do claim the things that I've done. I do that internally at Amazon as well. I don't care if you don't want to hear it, I did it. Was talking to my colleague now, bringing Vena. I was in the team that brought Vena. My team in Europe will hear about that until maybe next year. I will be talking about it. That, just collect the body of work of the things you've done. Keep it. It's good for you. When you start to doubt yourself, look at that and say, I'm capable, I've done that. If you've done it, it means you can do the next thing as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so Mark wanted to talk to us, but he'll come. Across your careers, what skills or experience, technical or not, help you grow in your tech career? And what currently are you learning that excites you?
Okay, I think I'll pick on experiences that quite influence where I'm at today. And that was the AWS Restart program for me. Joining Azubi Africa, it was called that back then. I think they call it Ajira Digital now. I had zero experience again about cloud computing. So it played quite an integral part in introducing me to what cloud computing was, first of all, what AWS was, and how you could apply this knowledge to solve real-world problems. So for me, that was quite an integral experience. I would also say, as much as I had a not so good experience at my previous role, it kind of introduced me to the world of networking. And cloud is basically just networking, to be honest. So I got the fundamentals and got to learn, the technical bits when it comes to how to implement a network, what are the security features you consider while setting up a whole network. I also got to interact with clients a lot, so that helped with me, like my confidence while conversing with people. So I would say that quite really improved my soft skills, which I do still employ in my role right now. What cool thing am I learning at the moment? I would say AI and ML is all over the place. So it feels imperative to learn what is going on over there. And as women in tech who are actually, we are fewer in the space, we would say we are a minority in the tech space, right? So you want to also keep up with the emerging technologies and whatever is going on in this space. So I'm currently working on AI and ML certification, And hopefully I'm gonna do it sometime this year. That's the cool thing I'm learning.
And that has really brought me to this part well alongside AWS Restart. And yeah, what I'm currently learning that is good. In AWS, I'm a serverless engineer, so I'm currently having a subject matter expert in one of the services. And at the same time, AI and ML is currently the trend, and like with tech trends, if you don't pursue it, you will be left behind. When I mentioned being an expert in some of the programming languages, some of them I just hear them, I've never seen them in practice. And I actually had a discussion sometimes back with my colleague Muridi. He was mentioning the ages of mainframe, and that is something I didn't grow up seeing. So as much as there was some skills in those sectors or in those particular domains, at this point in time, it's not relevant because now we are moving to cloud. We already moved to cloud computing. There, someone can just provision servers via Netflix, And that is something I grew up seeing. I didn't see the mainframe bleed. So the technology is moving, and we need to keep on keeping up with the trends because there are new things coming up. But if you don't upskill to keep up with the trends, you'll just be left behind. Yeah, so that's all. Thank you.
I would say every job that I've ever gotten has, in a way, made me who I am today in terms of my work experience. For instance, my job at NOC, as I said, it was very high pressure. We used even to cry. It was that bad. You go to the bathroom, take a break, cry, come back, continue with work. So that one has helped me deal with difficult clients where I am right now. Very few situations phase me this time round. I've faced worse. So that experience at NOC has made me sort of a hardcore in that area. When it comes to networking, because after NOC I went now to networking, as Marion has said, cloud at the end of the day rides on networking and physical servers and routers and firewalls. So me dealing with routing and switching and all that networking stuff really sets a very good fundamental for me to go to cloud. So you find that now when you go to cloud, you're learning about native cloud solutions. Things to do with, if you're setting up a VPN to your client, that one comes in easy because you've already been there in networking. So my experience at networking as a network engineer, even going to data centers, it really did help me because now I have an understanding of virtualization on its own when it comes now to cloud, in as much as I'm not virtualizing anything right now. But that technical bit for networking and the NOC bit, it really has played a part in where I am right now. And even we interact a lot with clients, so the more you interact with clients, the more you get better at it. So you get better at sending high-stake emails. You get better at consoling a client if things have gone wrong and they're in a panic mode. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And as there was a speaker today that was saying something along the lines of, you don't ignore where you've come from or whatever background you have, which means whatever it is that you've done in the past, even those attachments and the internships, at some point, some skill that you learned there is going to come into play later on because everything, your experiences sort of make you who you are, right? So at whatever point you've been, it's going to come to play at where you are at this point. So all of those experiences, my attachments, my different job roles, they've helped me, the technical bit and even the client bit. So an interesting thing I'm doing right now, I hate to sound like a broken record, but still AI and ML, it's not going anywhere. We are in the cloud, we are giving solutions to clients, so I have to know it. At this point, it's my KPI. So mostly doing POCs on some AWS services for AI and even Azure, and trying to see how you can position that to help our clients. And another thing that most clients are coming to us about is data. Someone will come and say, I have a lot of data. I want to get meaning out of it. I want to find tools that are going to help me analyze or clean and whatnot. So data is the new gold. So things to do with data, even on AWS, I'm also merging that with AI because data, AI, ML, all the same thing. There wouldn't be an ML if there, or a foundational model if there's no data to train it on. So, yeah.
So skills, I've done most roles in tech. So, and I'd say each role I did kind of flowed into the next one. Eric from Silicon Drive was talking about, your background. Even when you go to do a course at varsity and you don't get the one you wanted, do what's available there because you never know. And a lot of my background is like that, going from being a software developer, business analyst, solution architect, cloud engineer, each one. But I would say the one role of all those roles that I think defined a lot of me, that I think was the most helpful, especially at where I am in my role today, would be the business analysis role. And people look down on business analysts. Do not look down. When you sit and you write code all day, you think you're the best thing ever. Imagine someone who has to talk about the thing that you just did. That's what business analysts do. They simplify what is so difficult, and they talk about it in a language that makes sense to someone who's not technical. What that role taught me is how to switch from tech to business and back to tech. And it's a skill. It's not a skill that you just have. I was at a conference recently, and it was an AI conference, and someone talked about the role of business analysts in AI. And I thought that was really good because I think this is the moment for business analysts, because with the prompts now, no one really, it's not about how good of code you can write because these assistants are writing it, but it's the prompts, it's telling it what you want. And someone who's a business analyst can articulate what business wants, and the AI coding assistant codes the thing, deploys it. I think it's their moment, but that's just me. In terms of what I'm learning right now, I feel like I'm at a crossroads. I've seen all the fads that happen in tech. When I graduated, Y2K, this is a long time ago, year 2000 was a thing. That's when businesses were panicking that the dates are not long enough. It's going to switch to year 2000 and computers won't work. I started there, and we're being paid crazy money because businesses were scared. I've seen all the fads in tech, and so nothing is really new for me or really excites me. I do it because now it's my job. I have to do AI/ML. But I always say to my husband, I said to him the other day, if we won like a lot of $1 million, I wonder if I would continue with my job. And he says, no, you would. So I don't know. It's one thing to say. I used to have this colleague. Sorry, I'll wrap up just now. I used to have this colleague. We used to do our production support at a bank, commercial systems, and it was very stressful. Things break. The big corporate that banks with you will call the CEO. You have to fix it in 30 minutes. It was so stressful. We used to sit with him, and he used to say, think of the most mundane job out there. If you won $1 million, whatever, what job you would do? And he used to say, if you won millions and millions of dollars, he would take up a job at the post office just sticking stamps into the envelope. Because he used to say he hates tech, it's too stressful. So I wonder if my next is to stick stamps onto an envelope. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think from now on we're gonna try to summarize. Okay, so anyone thinking of switching careers, within tech, wondering if they're in the right role, so what advice would you give them, and figuring out their strengths, finding skills that in areas that they will be confident in, like people who are trying to change careers.
Okay. It's become so competitive. When I learned AWS in 2017, it was new in Africa. There was hardly anyone doing it. When I got certified, even the CCP was not available then, it didn't exist. It was there, so if you wanted to get certified, you'd go to the associate directly there. So I got the first one was a solution architect associate. And I posted on LinkedIn that I got certified. I didn't even have to explain anything, I just said, I got certified. And LinkedIn, everyone's like, oh my word, this girl, she got certified on AWS. And you become instant celebrity. Everyone wanted to hire me. I was doing interviews, telephonic interviews in London, interviews in Joburg. Everyone wanted to meet. I was doing podcasts just because I got certified. I was on the radio just because I got certified. I mean, today, no one cares because everyone is certified. So now you have to find the thing that's going to make you stand out. And I keep going back to there. You have to build things. And building things isn't about, when people look at what can I build, and it's what stops some of us from doing anything because you want to be the expert first, and then that's when you want to talk. And what I've always found powerful, and that's how I think you exist in a community. As you learn things, you talk about them. So it's not about coming and being superior because you're the expert, you know everything. It's you learning together and you say, oh, I tried this new model that they have on AWS and I built this the other day. And you share it with everyone and then say, what do you think? Because what that shows someone who's looking to employ you is that you're someone who is curious, you want to learn things, and you are continuously looking to learn and learn the next thing. So they can hire you even if you're not an expert because they know they can teach you whatever is on there. When I got hired at Standard Bank as a cloud engineer, they just were starting their cloud office. They didn't have cloud engineers, and they were hiring us. There were people who were in my team who were not, they didn't know AWS. They knew Azure, but they could tell that this person I can teach them because there they are. They've taught themselves another cloud. Then I can take them and teach them the next one. So just always coming across as someone who's ready to learn new things. You're flexible and not holding on. What I'm seeing as a challenge for a lot of experienced people like me, like who've been in the industry for a very long time, we tend to get to a point where you don't want to learn new things anymore. You are very comfortable where you are, and so you're not flexible, and you want to hold on to what you know. And that's why most corporations, the more experienced you are, if they want to bring in a new technology, they probably will get rid of you, and they'll bring in the Gen Zs because they can still teach them. So it's always very important to come across as someone who's teachable and you are willing to learn new things. And also because technology changes all the time. You've just become an expert in one thing, and then the new next thing comes. So, yeah.
I would say she has asked about someone getting into tech, but I'm assuming most of us here want to get into cloud, yeah? Or at least some version of cloud. So I'm just going to tackle it because if it's tech, then you have to first identify where you want to go and such and such. But for cloud, there are a lot of paths you can take in cloud. So it does pay off to sort of narrow down where you'd want to go. And by narrowing down, you just don't narrow it down by doing one thing. You can explore serverless, you can explore AI, you can explore databases because there are a lot of databases on AWS and there's a lot of things to do with them. You can explore data. But first you have to try all of those things for you to narrow down what it is that you want to do, because it's going to make work easier for you later on. You don't want to stay in a role for 4 years, then later you discover, I actually don't even like security. Now let me move to data. You've sort of lost a few years where you could have used those 5 years to do something that you really like or is passionate about, and one that aligns with the current trends. So I would say try narrow down what it is that you want to do, and when you narrow that down, make sure you're very good at it. Sometimes it seems daunting because you're learning something new, you don't know what you don't know. You have a lot of things to catch up on. New things are coming up every day. So it might seem daunting, but it just takes you telling yourself, I'll just dedicate 30 minutes a day to do a lab on AWS. And that 30 minutes a day becomes into a week, then turns into months. And in 3 months, you're way you're in a better place than someone who just was like, let me just try this out, and then they try it. They don't have a plan. They're just trying things randomly with no strategy, because strategy will get you further than just randomly doing things. So once you do that, you're able to be in a better position to start off or continue with whatever path it is that you wanted. And another thing that I'm noticing, even in my field, it doesn't, I'm not that old. You guys are pretty young too. So special, I know I've said you pick one thing and focus on it, but there's a downside to that. So it's a bit, the way I see it, it's a bit too early to sort of have laser sharp focus on just one thing. And that is because you rarely will find a job that will just want you to be good at AWS alone, unless you're getting hired by AWS. If you're not getting hired by AWS or Microsoft, you need a round of skills. For a cloud engineer, you need to know Linux administration, yeah? You need to know something about databases. You need to know something about networking. So you can look for the fundamentals of everything. You know, Linux is everywhere. Doesn't matter what hypervisor you're using. Networking is everywhere. Once you get those out of the way, then you can have that one thing you're focusing on. So it becomes easier. Again, as that giant, I keep forgetting his name, was saying, a blend of skills. It becomes easier for someone to hire you if you have networking, if you have a bit of database, in as much as your main focus is, say, AI. It pays off to have all those skills, but still having the one thing you're going for, yeah? Not just that thing and then the rest of it, because it has to ride on something. So yeah, identify that one thing you'd want to go for, supplement it or complement it with other skills that are relevant, and then be consistent at it. If it's LinkedIn, look for what is trending, look for these community events, look for, you can even reach out to hiring managers. Sometimes that works for people. We've had someone reach out to a hiring manager and they took them for the job. Look for these communities that you can attach yourself to, and then you're well in your way into getting into tech. Yeah.
Okay, so to add on to what they've both said, in addition to trying to specialize in a particular area, you should also have a flexible and growth mindset, you know. So sometimes you might be focusing on something, like really narrowing it down, but then all of a sudden things changes, because like we said, tech trends are always like the landscape is always changing. So what you need to also have is a flexible and a growth mindset. And just like we've said, are you teachable? Like whenever something new is introduced, are you able to grasp it or learn it? So that is another bit of it. And the other bit as well is surround yourself with a community that can help you build up. So an example is surrounding yourself with, say, AWS user group, the cloud clubs. That way you can have some people to go to when you're stuck, ask questions. And whenever you're asking questions, don't be afraid. There's no such stupid question, you know. Be vulnerable, be willing to put yourself out there. Just like Belisa mentioned, like when you're building, are you building in the public? Like even if it's a small thing, are you showing people out there what you're building? So sometimes you might be timid and be like, maybe I didn't even get it right or something like that. But if you put yourself out there, that is how you're going to learn. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll just reiterate what my fellow panelists have said, honestly. First of all, stay teachable. That ability to, first of all, self-learn, and also just showcasing the fact that you're learning this and you're building this and putting it out there, whether it's perfect or not, is quite important. Again, stay consistent. Just to summarize what Lynn has said again, the more often you post, the more visible you become. So keep at it, keep doing it. And if you're transitioning, like me, for example, take advantage of your transferable skills, to be honest. Yeah. There's a way you can tailor what you have learned or what you have done to what you're looking to move to. So transferable skills are also key. Yeah.
No, we're not done, but you can.
Why don't you give the refreshments? We're kind of waiting.
It's okay. Yeah. Is it okay? Yes.
Okay, also, if you already got a card, if possible, be honest enough to say you got a card, then others can get it. Also, you shouldn't take two Red Bulls in a day, right?
All right. As we are given refreshments, I'd like to ask for you, audience, if there's anyone who has a question to any of the panelists about their experience or advice or computing or women in tech, please raise your hand. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good afternoon. My name is Nange Moasia. I'm not a developer, I'm not an engineer, but just an educator on disability inclusion, assistive technology, and of course a user too. But that's not about me. What I'm saying is that I really loved the way these ladies shared their different experiences and how, yes. Oh. Sorry, no, being visually impaired may not have learned that there was a mic around. But it's well. Like I was saying, my name is Nyange Moasia. I'm a disability inclusion, assistive tech user, and also educator. But then I really loved how these ladies brought out their different experiences and their even pieces of advice into, banking on the experiences they have had, and especially also the different shifts they took in the roles they played. And the last question that was asked on if someone were to move from one career to another, or from one tech-related career to another tech-related career, then what would be your advice? I wish to add into what they gave. And to me, what I can share with the room is that if that must happen, then make sure that whichever career you're moving to, you integrate it with the technology. And not just integrating, but keep up to date with the tech that can be integrated with the same career that you transited to. Whichever, maybe security, talk of teaching, talk of law, talk of administration, just anything, any career you may think of. Talk of construction, someone who may want to get into constructing buildings like the one we are in. Just make sure to integrate technology and be up to date with the trend in terms of what is the latest, why is this better, and all that, so that then it becomes easier for you to survive. Minus that, then your business will not survive, not even 5 years. Thank you.
Hi. So my name is Grace, and to the panelists, thank you so much.
This is really what we call women in tech being seen. I'm so happy about that. So my question goes on behalf of other women in tech, not alone. So how do you guys deal with, despite the certifications, like today I was able to meet with some of my friends whom we did Restart, did other certifications back then. How do you guys deal with the rejection email of "we regret to inform you," and then you guys in the job market, how do you deal with this self-sabotage where you're in a situation where you're with other men colleagues? Like I can give an example. Sometimes back I went for an interview, and then in the interview I found out that I was the only lady among the developers. And so the lady asked me, will you be able to handle this with the admin? I said, yes, why not? So my question is, how do you, so at some point I felt motivated in a way, but then, women in tech, we said, the rest at the point. So how do you deal with that? Thank you.
Which was the first one, which was the second one? Ask two questions, right? The first one was, maybe first one first, and then rejection.
Okay, so the first question was, how do you guys deal with the rejection emails despite doing all the certifications or rather, how do you deal with the rejection emails when you're applying for jobs and then you see the rejections? And then the second one was, how do you deal with your sabotage in organizations where you're working in a field where men are most than women, and then they're like, oh, I think you're not able to do that. Yeah. Answer that.
Okay, I can answer the rejection one. I think I already shared the story about I was trying to be a solution architect and I was being rejected. And I just went back and I kept asking. I know you can't always ask a recruiter, but also seek to find out what it is that you can do to improve and be better so that next time when you apply. What I've seen happen a lot with, especially in the industry or the community, when we get certified, we don't always back it up with building consistently hands-on. So when you go for that interview, they're going to ask you questions where they want you to show what you can build. And if you don't have those stories, it's usually difficult for you to actually get that job and ace that interview. So for me, what I would do, here at Amazon, I'm a developer advocate now. Before I actually made it with this role, I had applied for 4 other roles first, and I kept being rejected. But I kept going back and looking to see what can I do to improve, how can I align myself with the role that I want, found other people online who are in the role that I want, and I asked them how they prepared themselves to be in that role. And over time, I found that to be quite helpful. And then the next one, I have never been in a team where there were more women in the team than men. Except I think the business analyst role, and that was strange for me. I've always been you.
Being the only woman
Yeah.
in an entire like a big team, like you have 15,
Yes.
15 developers, 14 men, 1 woman.
That's what I'm used to. I've never been in a team where majority is women, except when I was a business analyst. That was the flip. It was more women than men. And that was strange for me. How do I deal with it? I think I don't even consider the fact that I'm a woman in the team.
But I think the issue was like there's this perception, like especially like in IT managers, project managers, where you look at a woman, they think is not up to scratch.
Okay.
And maybe like if given something really challenging, would probably fail at that.
Okay. I'm gonna.
So like work maybe the same. Let's say do a whole night.
Yeah, I will hand the mic over again because I said where I come from, you would not do that as a manager to me. So I'm going to hand the mic over to people who've had the same experience.
And also especially this imagination that because you're a woman, you have a softer heart. You you may not withstand pressure.
Pressure, yes.
You may not withstand a complicated or a complex tax. You know, that kind of notion, I think a lot of awareness need to be generated to as many men as possible. Men in the room, hey.
But does that really still happen?
Yes.
It does not happen where I come from. That's why I said I'm going to hand the mic over, because I will say very insensitive things. No one would ever be very obvious to me about the fact that they think I'm a woman or I'm black, so they're going to treat me as second.
No, they don't tell you to your face. They like put it in like.
It's very subtle.
They make it as a consideration. They seem as if they are considering you, and that's why they're not.
Yeah, it won't be told you to your face, but it will be sort of done silently, like kind of stealth in a kind of stealthy way, make you feel like.
So an example.
But not be told. Won't be told like what your face.
The kind of imagination that a woman will struggle to carry a seat out there, so I carry it myself. That kind of thing that I'm supporting you. Not
bias I wanted to share. A bias.
Okay, now I'll just tell you guys to share something little for 30 seconds as we wind up the session.
What I'd like to share is one, I think as women, we should get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just like you've mentioned, we're going to be in those difficult spaces. I think what it calls upon us is to say yes more. If you're dad, will you be able to do this, that, and that against your male counterparts? Please just say yes and put what you can like to the table and let them judge you based on what you can do. And I hope eventually as companies, okay, let's say in Kenya, we're gonna get to a point where maybe our internal policies, let's say in terms of hiring, are based on merit and what someone can do and not really about their gender. Yeah, that's the hope. But as a woman, if you're there, just say yes. Honestly, lately, for me personally, I'm actually just learning to say yes. Even for this panel, I wasn't prepared, but I was like, yes, let me try it. And then you just learn on the job and keep it moving.
So be comfortable with uncomfortable.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Yes.
Be comfortable being
Uncomfortable.
For me, I'd want to engage the audience for my takeaway. It's actually about challenging a bias. So, sorry, Joy, I'm going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to request 3 people from the audience. I'm going to give numbers, and then the 3 people in the audience can give us a 3 set of numbers as well, and then we can see if it matches my rule. Is that okay? Okay. Can I have 3 volunteers, please? Thank you. Oh, no. Joy, please help me. So the numbers I'm going to give is 2, 4, and 8. So I'd want to request you also share 3 numbers, and then I can tell you if it matches my rule. So I gave 3 numbers, 2, 4, and 8. I want them to give 3 numbers as well, and then I can tell them if it matches my rule.
Between what and what?
One to time. You can just give any 3 numbers.
She said her 3. She wants them to say theirs.
2, 7, and 9.
2, 7?
And 9.
Matches my rule. What's the rule?
Be positive.
No, that's not my rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would go with 3, 5, 7.
Matches the rule. But what's the rule?
Excuse, I was a bit at the back. I didn't get the 3 numbers.
I give 3 sets of numbers, 2, 4, and 8, and then I'm requesting you share 3 numbers as well, and then I'm going to tell you if it matches the rule, and if it's matching the rule, can you guess what the rule is?
Okay, so my numbers will be 4, 8, and 10.
4, 8, and 10, yeah. Matches the rule. What would be the rule?
Or the rules are what is 2, 4, and 8. They are all even numbers and they are factors of 2. 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 3.
That's not the rule. But yeah, so just to give a summary, we should all, okay, the rule was, they actually got it right because they gave numbers that were outside of the scope I shared. I gave multiples of 2, 2, 4, and 8, right? But that wasn't the rule. The rule wasn't multiples of 2. It was the numbers in ascending order. Like we're going up, right? 2, 4, 8. So if you gave a number 1, 2, 3, it matches the rule. 3, 4, 5, it matches, yeah.
So 765 wouldn't match the rule, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, 765 won't match the rule. So the challenge here is, this is cognitive bias. You know, sometimes you see something and then you are like, actually Wanna mentioned it in the morning, that this is how we do things. Like, you are so sure that this is the rule, you know? But whenever you seek out to challenge or disprove what you already know, that is when you get to find more or like learn more. Thank you, sorry. Sorry for taking my
Let me tell you, I know we are running out of time, but allow me just understand a little about that rule of yours. So what you're saying is, we subconsciously follow to give you numbers that are following one another upwards, rather than giving those that are following each other downwards, you know, without our knowledge, just because you started 2, 4, 8. So
yeah, you just want
I struggle doing 765 because you never started. If you started 8, 4, 2, probably you'd also give 5, 4, 1. Okay, great, thank you.
My parting shot would be competency brings about confidence, and that's in relation to what she had asked. With the feeling intimidated, having a bit of imposter syndrome here and there, chances are the time you're feeling like not the imposter syndrome, the time you're feeling a bit intimidated by someone, maybe at the back of your mind, you know, there's something that I'm lacking that is bringing that insecurity or something. So if you're in a team of 14 men and you're the only lady, and you can do the things that they can do and even better, who is going to tell you anything? You're going to be automatically, for lack of a better word, confident. So if you want to feel less intimidated by the men and even fellow women, because it's very competitive nowadays, both men and women, we compete at the same level. What he can do, I can do. What I can do, he can do. So build your competence, and that is going to bring a lot of confidence in your skills and even in the way you handle your life.
I have nothing to add. You've said it. And I think the theme is building that competency. Whether it's insecurities that come from outside to you or they are inside you, if you build, I talked earlier on about building that body of work, having that thing to look back at and say, I've done that. So I am good enough. So even if you have the manager that tells you not, you know you are because you've got proof. I used to, long time ago, one of my first jobs, I didn't feel that they were paying me fairly for what I thought I was doing. And I had a mentor, and I used to talk to him, I think I'm going to leave. And his advice to me was, it doesn't matter where you land up, always make sure that you've got something to take with you when you leave that place and you go to the next. So he used to say to me, the skill set that you have right now at this job, will you be able to go to the next company and ask for more money and say, because you're bringing this and that? And he would say, if you feel that you want to move on, sometimes just think, what can I spend time learning right now? What new skill set can I learn right now? So that when I go to the next, I can sit there and be sure and say, you will pay me X, or this is what I deserve, this is what I bring to the table because you've learned the skill set. So I think it goes back to building that skill set, and there's no shortcut to it. You have to spend the time. When I learned AWS, I've got 3 children. When I learned AWS, I was doing that at night after my children have gone to bed. I was learning for those certifications. There's no shortcuts. But it does pay off when we do invest the time, and you are consistent about investing the time, and you will find people who see that in you. I talked about the chief architect who wouldn't sit, but I had a mentor who said, go back to him and say, this is what I can. When I was looking to get into cloud engineering, I was getting rejected a lot, and I understand what you mean. I felt like I was letting myself down. I would go to interviews. They've asked me to the interview because I've got a certification, and they ask me questions, practical questions, and I can't answer them. And that's why I always say build, because you just let yourself down when you can't answer them. And I couldn't answer these questions, and I would think, I can't believe I did all of this, and I got the call for the interview, and I couldn't answer the question. And one of the people said to me, continue to build. Whatever tech you are learning, all of this is available to us now. We don't have to be at a job or at school to access the technology. Continue to build with it, build that body of work, find communities that know and they talk about this tech so that you can be confident when you go for that job. When I went for this first solution architecture interview at AWS, can you imagine making it AWS recruiting? It's 3 rounds. I did the first round, passed, second round I passed, third round, they fly me to Cape Town, and I failed that interview because I did not practice and get to know the tech. He asked me to draw an architecture, and I left one block. And he asked me, and I didn't see that I left the block. And I think he said, okay, don't let yourself down. Continue to learn the tech so that when you go for those interviews, you are confident. You can tell your story. And another thing I've seen when I've been in interviews, when we're interviewing people to hire at AWS, they'll ask you a question. You start the question, but you don't know this topic deep enough. And you know, AWS interviewing, if you start, you better be ready to really go deep with it. So if you're going to start anything, you must be something that you know in detail so that you can talk in detail about it. Because you can, if you can't, again, they're going to see that you don't really know this, and then again, you let yourself down. So that would be my advice.